Okay. Hey, Jim.
Hi, afternoon, everybody. Evening. How you
Hey,
feel?
dude. How are you doing, bud?
Good, thanks.
I think we'll give a couple minutes and allow for additional people to get online
I don't see.
and start perhaps at 7:05.
Why not? No place. What's happening?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, I see Jim Luditz on that. Welcome.
I'm gonna go hide for a second while I try and figure out. I might have to forward that stuff to Gail because she can't get on.
Okay.
I hear myself on her computer.
I'm on the computer. I just don't see me.
Oh, you're there.
I am now.
Yeah,
Let me see where I am.
You're right there. Go get.
Oh, but I'm not there now.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm not there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. As I said, I'm joining Kiwanis. All right.
Several people would be happy with that.
It's been a crazy week. It really has. And Rusty was trying to log on. I don't know if he's here yet.
I don't see him listed in the participants.
Not yet. I called him a minute ago. Michael Terrelong is here. Where's Mike? There you are. Hi, Michael. Jimmy, are you going to take attendance?
No.
Okay, I'll try and write down names.
I mean, I could. Oh, give me a moment, and I'll try and do it.
What you might do is go to the participants list and just take a
Screenshot?
photo up. Yeah.
Good idea, Bob.
Smart idea.
Excellent.
Well, we'll wait 2 more minutes.
Okay.
Why don't we start going around and just introduce who you are and what role in disasters you have and where you're from. So I'm Bob Stewart. I'm the chair of DNA RAG, and I'm from Springfield, Illinois, and the Rotary Club of Springfield. Jimmy?
Yeah, good evening, everybody. This is Sunil Sansake, Rotary Club Tripurasur, Kathmandu, Nepal. I am the president of Rotary Club Tripurasur, and I just joined as a new member of this DNA RAG group.
Glad to have you on board.
Yeah.
Jimmy? I'm just
Hi.
looking at the
Sure.
camera, right?
Good morning, everyone. Jimmy Johnston, calling you from Glasgow, Scotland. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm losing my beauty sleep. That's why I'm so ugly. I'm the membership chair for the DNA RAG.
Alan?
Good morning, everybody. This is Alan Chen from Taiwan, District 3461. I'm a district DIC district for our district, so a lot of international connection. Here, I would like to also introduce Dr. Josephine Wang. She is cadre, the TIF cadre coordinator for East and Southern Asia. Josephine will help us a lot
Yeah.
for future disaster grant and global grant. Thank you.
Josephine?
Good morning or good evening, everybody. Fellow Rotarian. I'm actually new in this club, so I'm a neurologist, and I'm from Taiwan, originated from Hong Kong, but working in Taiwan. Actually, I have been several years being the district disaster relief from 3480 before, now 3481. And the chair of this disaster relief, because I have been related to a few disaster association. At present, I'm the regional organizer, actually not coordinator. We call it organizer of the cadre of technical advisor for East and Southeast Asia. So I have to take care of 19 countries and regions, 74 districts. And I'm really looking forward to work with all of you. And I know you are all expert in disaster relief. So that is a great way for me to learn more from all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to have you with us. And I would note, I believe, Alan, you were a cadre, member of the cadre as well, or have been.
Training, yes. Cadre train.
Yes. And Martha? You're muted.
Hi, I'm past district Governor Martha Collins from 6200. I've been on both sides of the disasters, helping in our area with the disasters. I've worked on international committees for disaster as well as local club. We've helped other people and we've been helped too because I'm gonna show you my living room right now. I don't know if you can see it. I'm still packing and unpacking stuff to get back into our house. So almost everything works and that's from Hurricane Ida 2 years ago yesterday. So good to be home.
Glad to hear that. And you're a member of the board.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Ace, good to see you.
Good to be here, Bob. Ace Case, District 6840, Chair of the District 6840 Foundation, 501c3. Our primary focus with the foundation is on disaster relief. We've helped a lot of people. We've dealt with a lot of stuff in our district. I was in the electric utility business for nearly 33 years and responded to ice storms and hurricanes all over the southeastern United States. Dealt with a lot of things in my working career.
Good to have you with us. Bernhard,
Here.
you're muted.
Okay, I'm Bernard. I'm the District 6450, Rotary Club Chicago. I only know two friends on the screen today, one in person and the other one because he helped. The helper is Phil Lustig. Thank you very much, Phil. Now we see each other. And the other one is Jim from Canada. So my thing is helping Haiti.
Glad to have you with us. Bob?
Thank you.
Bob Curran, District 7450, Longwood Rotary Club in the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania suburbs. I've been doing disaster rebuilds for about 20 years now, organizing volunteer teams, going in about usually a year after the storm, working with victims of no insurance and no cash. Also a member of the disaster action team members for the American Red Cross and Samaritan's Purse. So very hands-on.
Octavio?
Yes, good evening with everyone. I'm from District 4400 in Guayaquil, Ecuador, Rotary Club of La Puntilla. I've had a brief experience dealing with the earthquake we had back in April 2016 in Manta, which is a coastal city about 2 hours from Guayaquil.
Glad to have you with us.
Thank you.
David Hare?
Good evening. Past District Governor David Hare from District 7680 in Charlotte, North Carolina. I've been helping for the last few years a fellow Rotarian, Dr. Ray Hodgson, who's a fellow obstetrician from New South Wales, Australia. He's been instrumental in helping raise funds to build a mothers and children's hospital in Dholakar, Nepal, as a result of the 2015 earthquake. And that's how we got involved back during my governor year in 2018-19. And we have got involved in the last few years with the DNA RAG, and it's been very successful regarding the 501c3 donations, which we can now give tax deductible to the RAG and forward that to Australia, and that will help the building of the hospital.
Good relationship. Glad to have you. Randy?
Wonderful. Thank you.
Randy Feldman from the Rotary Club of New Orleans in the United States, in the same district as ACE. I chair a committee in District 6840 looking into acquiring a disaster recovery vehicle.
And I believe you've also recently completed an analysis of what districts in your zones have as to equipment to assist in disaster response and relief.
Yes, several people in this group were part of the survey. We contacted around 70 districts in the United States and asked them about whether they had a vehicle or not. And then if they had one, we had a whole series of about 20 questions that we asked them how they got them, what their governance was, their finances, their public image, their service that their particular vehicle had. And it's helping us a lot in trying to decide what direction to go on if we go in any direction.
Luke?
Good evening or good morning. My name is Luc Rombout from Belgium, District 2130 and Rotary Club of Ghent-Zuid, which is in the north of the country. I've been active professionally in crisis management, ranging from floods to terrorism to cyber for the last 30 years. And in Rotary, we had in 2021 major floods in Belgium, which initiated, in fact, the establishment of a national coordination hub, which I have been leading since then. And then since 2022, the onset of the war in Ukraine, we are coordinating through our little hub all humanitarian assistance with Ukraine, currently working on combat medicine, facial reconstruction, humanitarian demining, and a number of other projects. And then I'm board member of a local NGO called Hospital Without Borders, and I'm one of the Belgian ambassadors of Shelterbox, in a nutshell.
Thank you. We've now got 36 on board, and the entire meeting, I don't want to take up just with intros. And maybe what we can do is at the tail end, if we have some time, go back and pick up those who are with us. And I do want to make sure that we get into the meat of the annual meeting. And so if it's all right, what I'd like to do is get into the agenda, and then we can come back if we have some time. All right, but I'm cognizant that everybody is valuing their time, and we want to get to the meat of tonight's or today's session. And if that meets with everybody's approval, we'll move into the agenda, and then hopefully we can come back and spend a little time with one another. But this is the annual meeting, and we are now at at a point in time where we want to have the annual meeting a Zoom meeting. In years past, we had it at the Rotary International Convention. Not everybody can afford to go to the International Convention, and if we give notice on the Zoom meeting, hopefully we get better attendance and people can participate. The minutes of the 2022 annual meeting are truly more than just minutes. There is a video of the recording on the Zoom meeting for 2022. Hopefully this next year we will have an executive summary in writing that we can circulate in advance. But hopefully what you can do is get on our website and you'll see the annual meetings, the recordings for the last, I believe, 3 years. So I'm not going to call for an approval of the video. I think it speaks for itself unless people have problems with that. And I know as a lawyer, I know I'm going a little outside the norm. Any questions in regard to what transpired last year, which is going to follow the agenda that we're using tonight? I don't think there was anything unusual. It was basically just the regular business meeting. Is Rusty on board yet, Phil?
Yes, I am.
Ah, okay, I see you there.
Yeah.
Could you outline whether we're solvent in the financial state?
Well, at the end of the fiscal year, we had roughly $200,000 left in cash at the end of the year. And as of, I was at your house Monday. As of Monday, we had $197,511 in the bank, of which I sent you guys an email with how much money is left over for each project, and additionally, undesignated at the end of the year was just under $30,000.
Okay, that's the accountant's viewpoint. And that's what we're looking for, is to dot the I's and cross the T's. As a lawyer, I would like to add some notes. I've got what Rusty sent to me. And yes, there's $29,350, which is operational. In other words, from dues, etc., that allows us to expend funds at the RI convention for booth rental, to publish brochures. If you're going to a zone institute and you want brochures, you can download from the website. And I went in, and for zones 30 and 31 for the Zone Institute, we will have brochures, and those brochures can be found on the website. And I walked into a printer and he's going to publish those, and we will have them available. Not everybody uses those anymore. But that's the $29,000. We are a 501c3 entity, and the bulk of the funds that flow through DNA RAG flow through the 501c3 entity. So the note that Rusty was referring to breaks out the funds that were contributed into the 501c3 and have not been expended yet, but they are restricted to the use of the respective areas that contributed in. Haiti still has $141,516 of unexpended funds that we are holding. We can't use those for operational needs. Those go to relief efforts and projects. The same on, okay, we have David Hare with us in regard to the maternal hospital in Nepal, working through the Australian Women's Group, and that's $25,750. Then we have DNA Rag assisted me as chair of DNA Rag. I became the chair of the 26 Rags Chairs Council. In other words, we were trying to break down the silos and the walls between the different Rotary action groups and have them come together, working together. And we have an event at Rotary International Convention. We've had 2 of them now, and it's called Ragtime. And we allow, or we stimulate members of the Rotary action groups to come together Thursday nights before RI convention, because there are a lot of pre-convention activities. We also invite the senior leaders, and we have had at least 5 different presidents or presidents-elect at these ragtime events. They last about 2 hours, and they're at different venues at the RI convention. We have $875. We have not been out of pocket from DNA Rag, and those events have paid for themselves. So we paid for the event, and now we have $875, which will go for next year's Ragtime event. But DNA Rag has not made a commitment to assist with that. We assisted with the prior 2, and we had people working the registration desk, and we put on our website and received the payments for the registrations and kept track of it. And we are giving those funds to the new chairman of the Rotary Action Group's Chairs Council, so that he can run an event in Singapore. And he's making arrangements for that. So if you're going to Singapore, it's a fun event to go to. And you'll have a chance, it's like 100 to 150 people there. You'll get to mingle with the presidents of RI. Maloney and Ian Reesley and Barry Rassin. And then we had Stephanie Urchek and Gordon McAnally. So it's a good time, and you can spend 10, 15 minutes with various presidents and get to know them, as well as other Rotary action groups. And I like to say that when a disaster happens, it's not just DNA Rag, because you got water and sanitation, WASH Rag. You've got environmental sustainability, SRAG. You've got economic development, RAGSET. You're touching all sorts of Rotary action groups, and we need to work together. And that's hopefully what we're doing through the RAGS Council. So when you total Haiti, the hospital project, and Ragtime, you've got $168,161 in funds that are designated to go elsewhere and cannot be used by this RAG. Now, just as an aside, what we did about a year and a half ago is, with the 501c3, we realized that we may get $1 million rolling through there in any given year, in and out. That's pretty substantial monies, and we need to be stewards of that. We were not charging anything for districts and clubs and zones to participate and utilize the 501c3. And it takes our members, our treasurer and others, significant time on a daily and a monthly basis. And we came up with a guideline of about 2%, I believe, could be charged. It varies from case to case, but it could be charged as administrative fee, and that would allow us to build up, and perhaps every 3 or 4 years even pay for an audit or review of our operations from a fiduciary or position of trust and responsibility. I'm going to go a little bit outside. First off, I guess, is there a motion to approve Rusty, our treasurer's financial report?
I'll move it. But
You'll
Bob,
move it?
I have a comment though. That administrative fee also helps pay or defray the cost of wires.
Okay, okay. Is there a second? And then we can open it up to discussion if anybody.
I'll second.
Second.
That's Mike Stafford, seconds.
Any discussion on this? Because any board that you sit on, you have a fiduciary obligation to oversee, and that's what we're doing with this annual meeting and review. I think also that with iMember, our new data system, and the ability to send out dues statements on a regular basis, and so on, that's going to help our financial situation. I'm going to go a little bit out of line on the agenda because there's another financial related item, and that is the selection and the way the RI board looks at it in the code of policies. The annual meeting, you're presented with an option. You can review the finances through a separate audit committee of individual Rotarians reviewing the books and the procedures, or you can go to an independent accountant. If you go to an independent accountant, you're going to face a significant charge because, at least in the United States, my understanding is for an accountant to review the books and be covered by their own insurance, they would have to impose a fee, a significant fee. And that's been my experience on different boards. And that to me is the reason why the RI board made the determination that a separate audit committee, which does not have to charge, and allow that option to us. But we also felt that at some point in time, every 3 to 5 years, we ought to be considering looking at a separate, perhaps, review by an independent accountant. But the motion's on the floor. Any questions in regard to that? So there would be a vote as to whether we felt, pardon?
One quick comment.
Yes.
Just to the extent that what we heard, I heard everything called out. But are we getting this in a format, in an accounting format that we can read or at least have on file? When I say we, not necessarily I want one specifically, but that is put on file in the files of the NRI. Because the amount of money that's passing through, I think we have a responsibility to have at least not necessarily from the audit for our own purposes to have it properly documented. For a disaster in Nepal, that $1 million came in and $1 million went out. That type of thing. At least show or how much is left. We don't want all the fine details, but certainly I think there should be some written accounting statement that should be on file.
Rusty?
Yeah, I can answer. Yeah, we have a financial statement that I issue every month, balance sheet and income statement. Okay, that anyone can look at. It's available. For the audit committee, okay, it could be as few as 4 people, but at least one person that has some accounting knowledge.
The balance sheet is up on the screen now, and if you want to see the second sheet, I can show that as well.
Right. The balance sheet, and you'll see that for this year, for the fiscal year ended June 30th, we lost $47,000 compared to the year before, which we had a profit of 103,000. And
Okay, that answers, without having to go through it, that answers the question, because it's just maybe timing. I maybe we should have put these up first, or at least I didn't see them from my end. So I apologize if I did.
No.
But yeah, that's fine. That's acceptable.
Rusty has referred to it as a loss of $47,000.
well, what it is the money that came in the year before,
Correct.
we didn't spend it by the end of June of 22, so we spent it in 23.
And as I say, Rusty is the accountant. I view that as the expenditure of restricted funds that were dedicated to projects. So I don't really view that as a loss, but for IRS purposes and accounting purposes, I understand it. It's a negative, and therefore you deem it a loss. Why don't you, Phil, can you put up that last sheet that was sent out?
That one there?
That showed the Haiti and...
Oh, my email?
No, this one
Yeah,
here.
the email. Do you have it with Haiti and so on?
The one that I sent out yesterday.
The email. It's
Oh,
basically the email.
Hold on.
Because I think that would be good to preserve.
Yeah, I let me stop sharing this and then go find it, okay?
And what I'd like to suggest for next year is that you present the balance sheet, you present the profit and loss statement in effect. And then you put an asterisk and you put the notes to that being the different sub-accounts like Haiti,
Here you go.
the Nepal hospital, and ragtime.
There's the numbers, 141. This what you're looking for, Bob?
Yes.
Okay.
Would that clarify better for people?
Absolutely. And we also appreciate the fact too that, of course, all of us from around different parts of the world, we have to appreciate that this is being done to suit the standards where the 5013C is operating. So we understand that.
Okay, I appreciate it. I also believe that we file a...
Randy has his hand up, Rusty.
I'm sorry, Randy?
Randy Friedman has his hand up.
Randy
Feldman, rather. Go ahead.
No problem. Do we post annual financials on the website?
Yes.
Okay. I was just looking. I didn't see them in any particular place. You could direct me to them.
Oftentimes groups post their 990s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we could do that.
Sure.
Michael has his hand up, Bob.
Michael?
Sure. Good evening, everyone. Good to be with you. Bob, just as a point of explanation, I think it may help. When we were speaking of Haiti and those funds that were passing through the Haiti, what I want to say, I'm Michael Terrelong. I'm from Rotary Club Spanish Town in Jamaica in Northern Caribbean. And DNA RAG is a very close ally of our regional disaster efforts and has been over the years. And we're very grateful for it. What you're seeing there in terms of funds for Haiti is a service that DNA RAG provides to us, which is very essential in terms of the funneling funds through the US 501c3 in the US, and Rotary and Phil work very hard to support distributing these funds to various causes in the Caribbean for various disasters and what have you. So the funds you're seeing there are really just an example of a latest program of activity to address the earthquake in Haiti a couple of years ago, right? I just thought I'd make that up. make that statement too. And thank Bob and DNA Rag for continuing to assist us. That's the financial transaction you're seeing there. Thank you.
And
Bob.
I think we're all aware that the needs assessment and the challenges take time to analyze and see what funds are available, what projects have been instituted, and then for decisions to be made by the appropriate committees running those sub-funds. DNA RAG does not review the projects other than to verify that they have been completed or instituted. The decision as to where the funds go rests with, okay, in Michael's case, District 7020 and District 7030 disaster committee. It's a separate group, and they direct DNA RAG as to where those funds go. So what I might suggest is we will look at the board meeting, and I believe that we ought to be posting the 990 onto our website. Any objections to that? So that we can relay and take the action at the next board meeting. Rusty, comfortable with that?
I have never had a problem with that.
Okay.
Because
Bob, in response to Randy's question, I've just looked and I thought the financials were posted on the same page with the annual meetings, and they're not. We have the annual meeting minutes, we have the videos, we have the IRS latest IRS 990 form. Excuse me.
Are we okay?
It's there.
There?
Yeah, there it is. Hold on, let me
So we're covered.
hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. That's at 2020, which probably is the latest.
No, that was 2021, actually.
Okay, so, but I knew I'd seen it here, but this.
But we can do that from here.
Yeah, we believe me, we've got these. We can append these or put these up on the website pretty easily.
And if you need copies, let me know. I know somebody who knows somebody.
Yeah, Bob, that's under the mission and bylaws.
That's right. Yes, Randy.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks for raising that, Randy.
Greg Walling has his hand up, Bob.
Okay. Greg? I'm not seeing everybody. Okay.
Okay, this is an uncontrolled website, right? Just anybody can access that? Is there any concern about having that kind of documentation on the general public?
Well,
I mean, I just went there and had no issue getting in.
Now, I understand something. If the Form 990 is public record.
Okay.
There is no, if you want to look at any organization, non-for-profit organization, you can go to I think it's called guideware.org. Okay. Any organization you want. Okay.
It's GuideStar.
GuideStar, right.
That's fine. I just wasn't sure if there was an issue.
Yeah. And according to, when you file a tax return, you ask, it says, is it posted? And I always say yes.
Well, we need to make sure that we get those on there.
Yeah.
And we will.
That will happen, Bob.
Okay.
So what we're looking for is we're looking for a couple, a few people to join the audit committee, and one with some accounting knowledge. And I can't do it since I'm the treasurer.
Okay, we need to take a vote on audit committee versus independent, and I guess, is there a motion that it be an audit committee?
So moved.
I'll second.
From the Rotarians, as Rotarians.
Correct.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And this avoids imposition of a fee.
And who made the motion? Was that David?
Yes.
David Hare made the motion, and David Edwards seconds. Yes.
And I'm perfectly happy as a CPA to help on that committee or whatever you want to do with regards the audit or the accounts.
All right.
Any other discussion? All those in favor, raise your hands. And opposed?
I didn't raise my hand because I'm not a member.
Will Aiken, okay, that was, okay, all right. I see no hands raised opposed.
Okay. So it would pass.
Yeah.
I appreciate
Octavio
that.
had a hand up. Was that
That was to vote yes.
Was that to vote yes, Octavio?
Well, I am really not sure if I'm a member yet or not. So I lower my hand.
Okay.
But in principle, I would be agreeing with.
Okay.
Moving along, membership report. Phil, do you have the number of members that we've got? And friends.
I was just logging into iMembers as you asked that, Bob, because I thought Jeff was going to be with us, but he's at a business meeting tonight.
Roughly how many do we have? 250?
Looking at the roster right now, it says 233.
Okay. So it has not grown dramatically this last year.
No, sir.
Phil, board election results.
The board election results. We went over this last night. We have Jeff and I did this the other night. Those elected for the 23-26 year were Bob Stewart, Keshav Kumar Inio, Michael Long, and Guyami.
Guyami is new to the board.
Yes, he is.
From Egypt.
Yes. And Samir was elected to fill David Langworthy's one-year term.
Okay.
His
If
name
you
is
remember,
his name is Samir Nepal from Nepal.
Okay. So our board is composed of 3 classes, each serving 3 years, and each class has 5 members.
That's correct.
Plus we have a technical advisor.
That is correct.
And then it works out also that our officers, and at our last meeting of the board, I was reelected as chair. And then we have, so I'm serving a 3-year. Rusty, who is our treasurer, has 2 years left. And Liz Goggins is our secretary. And also Phil Lustig is vice chair, and they have 1 year left on their term.
Right.
So that's another area that if you're interested in being an officer or a board member, those terms will have the possibility that if you're interested, we'll have another annual election, and you have an opportunity to submit your name as being interested on the board. Let's see. On the 2022-23 accomplishments, I think one of the major items was implementation of iMembers and integration of that data system into our works. And that allows us to do an awful lot. It allows us to make sure that the dues statements are sent out, but it also allows us to keep track of the skill base of all of our members. And it allows us to generate correspondence or emails, communication with all of our members on a regular basis and all at one time. Or we can do it as to specific interests or concerns. That took a lot longer than anyone expected, or that I expected. Maybe some of you have worked with systems, and it seems like it took us about 2 years to implement that. And I know other Rotary action groups are going through similar process, but it really allows us to move forward. One of the interesting elements was we had a booth at the RI convention, and we had individuals who were interested in affiliating with us, and we had discussions on that from Australia, New Zealand, Nepal, Brazil, Taipei, the Caribbean, Italy. And I think the board made some appropriate decisions recently as to the organization of DNA regs so that it could implement a much more global aspect to our organization. We've got a functioning board. We're broken down into committees of administration, membership, public image, training, and program. And we are trying to work and bring other individuals in. And what I'd like to do tonight is we have received a report from membership committee. And Jimmy,
I have the slides up. I have the slides up, Bob. I think Jimmy, I don't see him still here, but he had sent, oh, there he is. Yeah, I see him now. Jimmy, you want me to run this, or do you want to run it?
If you could run it, that'd be great.
Okay.
I'm using it. If I just say next slide, that'd be brilliant.
Okay, from the beginning.
Can I apologise to everyone around the globe that it's a Scottish accent, and I will do my best to speak slowly and clearly.
Let me see if I can figure out how to do this. I want to be, oh my Lord.
While Phil's doing that, our chairman, Bob, indicated that it's taken the last couple of years to get iMembers implemented, and it has been great, but it's allowing us, once you hear the report, it will allow us to do a number of great things. And of course, one of the elements that we discussed was promoting the DNA RAG, not just at the international convention, but also trying to get access to all the leaders and district leaders at international assemblies.
I'm trying to figure out where screen 1 is.
Let me
it's on
mention
screen 2.
that
Jimmy, do you have it up? Because if you do, you've got sharing.
Let's see if I can get this going then. Slideshow from beginning. Does that show it for you?
I don't see it yet.
Share screen.
let me backtrack into giving you some additional
There you are,
info.
Jimmy. You got it.
Let me follow up a little bit. During the course of the year, we have worked with other groups and other areas such as zones 30 and 31, where they have been forming an advisory committee to the director. So it's zones 30 and 31 Disaster Response Committee, Advisory Committee. We have assisted with that committee in presenting training to the sitting governors through the director's monthly meeting. We did that on 1 month, and then within 2 weeks of that, in effect, motivational 1 hour session, we ran 4 hours of training over the Zoom. Phil and Mike Terralong did this for the all the PDGs and G lines of zones 30 and 31. And this coming month, we will be in Memphis at their Zone Institute, and we will have basically a 1 hour session in the morning as motivational for the G lines to go back to their district and form disaster committees. And then we will have an hour and a half session in the afternoon as to the organization and responsibilities at the district team level. And we're going to record that. We're going to film it and put that on thumb drive and make sure that that is available to all the districts. That's just one instance of what DNA RAG is doing. And our hope is that we will expand on that. Jimmy, I'm taking time from membership, but I wanted to explain some of what we're doing.
Martha has a question.
I wanted to know, Bob, is that training session, is it available to share? Was it recorded?
It was recorded, but we had to get some edits done. And I'm not sure if that ever happened because there was some very sensitive information shared during the presentation. We were using the project management software, and one of the things that we shared was a resident of the Bahamas driver's license. Oh. So I don't know if that ever got edited out, Bob. And because that happened in zones 30, 31, I don't know that I don't have control over that. But we were hoping that we could get that posted up on the website.
But at this point, it isn't on the website, and I have been talking with the individuals on the Zone Institute in Memphis, and we've done a run through on the training that is to happen in Memphis. And I was impressed enough, I said, we need to record that and get it onto the thumb drive and get it into every district. So as to that, Martha, we will have that recorded and available. And if DNA RAG wants to put it on the website, it will be available for that. So we're learning.
Bob, before Jimmy starts, Jill has a question.
Jill?
Thank you. Actually, I have an answer. I put the links to part 1 and part 2. Those are available from our zone website. I happen to be the general chair of the Institute, so I've got a little bit of inside track on all this. And I can actually just put the link to our general website where there was another session done in April as well. So kind of the precursor to that. So those are publicly available, and you all are welcome to come to Memphis if you want to hear it live too.
Thank you, Jill. Jimmy,
you're up.
Yes. My problem is when I put the slides up on the screen, I can't see my notes. So can you put the slides up, Phil?
Can you split the screen?
My
I'm
problem
not
is,
I'm not that
the
intelligent.
problem is you're going to see the wrong screen. You're going to see this screen, which has the, oh, wait a minute. Wait, no, where did I do it? Pardon me, guys, once again. Here it is, downloads this one here, PowerPoint. We're just going to go through this way, Jimmy. Share the screen. Wait, not that one. Come on. You seen this, Jimmy?
Yes, but that's not what I'm wanting. That's not the screen. That's not the PowerPoint I sent.
Okay, then hold on. Let me back out of this again. Sorry about this. This is, I'm, okay.
My big issue is I've got notes that I'm going to go through. There's only six slides, but I would be humming and hawing and making things up because I can't see my own notes.
And your notes pages are not on there. I don't see where they are, Jimmy.
No, they're not. But
Jimmy?
the problem is, if I show this, then I can't. Yes.
Can you go through and make the presentation orally and then provide to us, or we can post it on the website so that a presentation could be made?
I can do that, but yeah, I'll cut it very short. Okay.
Is that all right with everyone?
Fine.
Let's move ahead, if we may. So you're always going to be able to view the recorded portion of this meeting on the website, and you'll be able to match it up with the PowerPoint that would be on the website. Go ahead, Jimmy.
Like you can see that.
Yes.
Okay. Obviously, the report is quite extensive. I already indicated that as a result of the developments for iMember, we're now able to send this out to everyone. So I'm hoping that that's what will happen. But you'll notice it's not just a report, because part of the material that we were gathering provided us with a call to action. And it's already been mentioned that what we're trying to do is engage and encourage our members to be more active and have a greater input globally. So the report initially was looking at encouraging growth. That's not just for people joining online, but if we can manage to engage the members, we hope that that will bring in numbers as people take a greater responsibility, whether it's for floods in Germany or earthquakes in Nepal or fires, the forest fires in Greece or America or Australia. What we're saying is, look, there are disasters happening all the time, and you, as Rotarians, you're contributing locally. So what we're trying to do is use these elements to engage and encourage growth. Obviously, as everyone gets involved locally, nationally, and internationally, we can then build a sustainable network of individuals constantly communicating information back through the DNA RAG so that it can be circulated through social media. What we're hoping to do, and these were some of the plans that were put forward, was to have the local disaster teams in each district. And nationally, we're striving to get individuals, the likes of former directors or former district governors, or people involved in call, to try and get them to be the zone coordinators. I know that in the UK, the 24 districts have a disaster network team, but they were obviously set up initially to deal with the conflict in Ukraine. And as a result of being set up, they were there able to help with the earthquake in Turkey and Syria. So we're trying to get representatives from there involved. But of course, this would all be under the auspices of the DNA RAG internationally. But within each collaboration, particularly in each district, there are different organisations who are there, for resilience, and there are different agencies that send in first responders. And I'm talking maybe about in Scotland, we have mountain rescue teams, which are all voluntary organisations. And if we can collaborate with them, that'd be great. We've also got search dog teams that go to places where there's been an earthquake. And I'll use as an example in Turkey, where they'll take, a dozen of them will fly out from Scotland to the area, and the dogs themselves will be able to sniff out and seek out survivors under the rubble. It has been alluded to, and we have, in fact, we've got Mike Trelonge on the call, but there are teams within the DNA RAG that can provide training in disaster preparedness. Now, that's not just for issues that we know happen every year, because we know that there's Tornado Alley or there's hurricanes always hit the eastern seaboard in America, as an example, or you've got cyclones and typhoons over in the Far East hitting Australia and Indonesia and Taiwan. But these are things that happen every year, so you can be prepared for them. But then occasionally you get a major disaster like the 2004 tsunami, which was not predictable. And there are two stages of disaster preparedness: the ones that we know about and how we can be prepared for those that we don't know about. As a RAG, we do not really have a disaster response team, but we collaborate with many agencies like the boxes, Disaster Aid, Shelter Box, Aqua Box, who have the immediate response teams that go in. We also have the organisations that I mentioned locally that, the likes of the sniffing dogs or the mountain rescue. We have these people that we can in fact turn to and support when they go in to do disaster response. But equally so, you as individuals, and it's been again mentioned that there are vehicles, there are boats, there are food trucks that get deployed whenever there's a disaster happening. And I know that this has happened quite a few times because those on the committee have informed us, and you will see in the full report that I've indicated that. But the DNA RAG is there ultimately for disaster recovery. And it's not just within the first 6 months. It could, in fact, as you've just heard earlier on with the financial reports, it could go on for 2 or 3 years, 5 years, because it takes a long time to recovery. For you, the DNA RAG is in a position to train and assist you, but we need to engage the members, as I've indicated. And what we're striving to do is enable our new disaster teams, both at district and zone levels. Bob has mentioned to you 2 or 3 times, if in fact you can or you are already involved in a local team, then please reach out to us so that we can start to coordinate and have your input so that you can have a greater effect locally, nationally and internationally. Now, I've given you 3 questions, nice and simple ones. Are you, as an individual, are you the solution? And most assuredly, yes, because you're here at the annual general meeting. I'm putting my hand in my heart here and I'm asking, will you step up? Because we desperately need your input. And finally, can you encourage and engage others in your own area, your own district, your own zone, to come together and build up a team that we can access. I believe that's everything I've got to say, and I don't know how to escape. There we go.
Thank you, Jimmy. Questions or comments? And maybe what I'll do is, the membership report came in from the committee a couple of months ago, and it was well received. We then felt, after that was before the RI convention, if memory serves me right.
Yes.
And Jimmy and Martha Collins and Enyo from Brazil and others participated in that. That stimulated us after the RI convention to have a meeting of the administration committee. And the part of the rationale was at the booth at the convention and elsewhere at the convention, those in attendance, and Keyshoff was there, Phil was there, I was there, I think Mike, you were there, and others. And we met with people from New Zealand. We met with disaster aid from New Zealand, disaster aid from Australia, disaster aid from Nepal had communicated with us before, and that was Ranjiv over in Nepal. That was one group. And we've had strong relationship with disaster aid over the years, and strong relationship with Shelter Box. But then we met with ROCKS, which is their separate organization in Australia, and each of their districts make contributions into ROCKS so that if a disaster hits, they've got funding and they've got materials and supplies available that they can ship out immediately. And if the funds are depleted, then they in effect assess the districts, or that's my understanding. Both disaster aid and ROCKS want to affiliate with us, meet with us, and link so that they are reflected on our website, and can, if they send communication out as to what their projects are and so on, we can notify members of DNA RAG. So that's an element, and they want to move forward on it. The board has approved that concept. And so now we've got Australia, and then in addition to disaster aid and the formal organization within the country, both in Australia and New Zealand and so on, we had individual Rotarians who said, these are excellent groups, but we have concern in our own local communities, and they want to organize. So you have three different levels, or you've got the partners such as disaster aid, you've got the Rotary affiliates, which are Rotary based, and then you've got clubs and individuals that want to form their own teams within Australia and New Zealand and other countries. So what the board looked at coming from the administration committee was, okay, we're comfortable with the board at the global level. We think that's functioning well, but we can't oversee individual disasters and so on. We have an advisory board composed of, and this is, we've talked to various RI presidents over the course of time, like Holger and Ian and Gordon and Barry, and they're willing to assist us and be on an advisory board. If they're needed, they're willing to act. And if nothing else, they're active within TRF. And TRF has taken an increasing role in disaster response. not only natural, but man-made. And what we need to do is activate that advisory board and utilize them. And my iPad is dying out, but so we're looking, we've got that. We've got the cadre, which the board wants us to have a technical advisor, and we do have one who is there. On program, what we talked about was putting advisors, technical advisors from the cadre into our program committee that works with grants, disaster response grants, global grants, and possibly with impact grants through TRF.
Bob, I don't interrupt you, but Francis had all the blood run out of his hand.
Okay.
And after and Lewis has his hand up as well. And they've had hands up for quite a while.
I apologize. Francis? Go ahead.
Unmute. Francis, you're muted still. There you go. There you go.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. I'm learning and listening, and what Jimmy told was very interesting. I saw a slide telling about the disaster training, about preparedness, response, and recovery. As I'm living in Ecuador, I'm initially from Ghent in Belgium. So Mr. Luc Rambout is from Ghent also. So that's, I hope that I will be able to contact him. But what I need, because we had the really disaster in Ecuador for a couple of times, let's say the floods, the landslides, and the earthquake that was really horrible. And the fact that I'm the disc, the 4,400 disc, make me, let's say, oblige me to teach all the clubs how to react and to be prepared. And so if you have some, let's say, trick for the preparedness, response, and recovery, as you said, that you can provide the training in those three types of response, it would be fantastic to start with that. And if needed, I can translate that in Spanish. I'm lucky enough that I'm able to speak 3 languages, and with Mr. Rambots, I will not be able to speak Dutch because I left Ghent when I was 4 years old. So let's say that's a long time ago. Anyway, I think that you're making a great job, and thank you very much to allow me to be part of your let's say annual meeting, and whatever I can do for you, because I'm part of WASRAC, from ESRAC, from the diabetes RAC, and also the Fellowship for International Development. And so let's start with the training that Jimmy was speaking about. Thank you very much.
This is exactly what we're looking for, is people to take the initiative and form elements or organizations to prepare in their local communities and their districts. And we need to reach out. Louis?
Yeah, my comment is very similar to Francis's comment. I was entrusted with setting up a district fund for disaster preparedness this year, and so we've been working towards that. We received a little bit of pushback from the Rotary community. By the way, this is all Rotary based. It is not Rotary based, primarily because during past few years, whenever there's been any like natural disasters, floods, wildfires, etc., it's been the Rotary community that has kind of stepped up a little bit more, especially in terms of actually going to the area and manually helping. We have a very high median age in our district when it comes to Rotary, so a lot of the Rotarian fellows, they just can't allow themselves because of health reasons to go and work manually. So Rotary has kind of taken the spear front in that sort of task, and one of the plans that we had for this year was implementing a training program for disaster preparedness, but and also for other stuff. I mean, we're a fund, will be operating with money and that type of stuff. So a lot of courses by the Rotary Foundation are also going to be imparted. But now that you're mentioning that the DNA RAC can actually provide disaster preparedness, disaster response courses, we'll be very interested in implementing those into our annual training program, because we find it very important to have kind of like a continued work plan that doesn't end after a year. That was kind of like an old tradition in our district. All positions ended after 1 year, and everything was just kind of left to its own devices afterwards. So we want to give a little bit more continuation to this type of stuff. So if there's any like contact that you guys could provide me where we could set up a meeting, just like Francis, I can also help with translating program material into Spanish, and it would be great. It would be great for our community.
Luis, you're in Mexico, correct?
Yes, that's correct. I'm in District 4110.
Yeah, okay. I'll be in touch.
Thanks.
I have to add something. In order to avoid losing information, we decide to, with a technological committee, to have email addresses that would not change from year to year. So that's the reason why I put in the chat that our general mail is cd@clubrotariodelapuntilla.org. We also have one with secretario at and so on, because when we before me in the other years we were using personal mails, and so all the information, even the one going to the club, was lost year by year. So now we are establishing a system in order to avoid to lose any information. So we will have only one mail for general information. I put that in the chat, and I hope that Bob is able to check that. And any question or what for the next steps, we will use that. And so my successor or whatever is needed to stay for the club and not only for me. So that will be very useful to do that, if you don't mind.
On training and preparation, we have a couple of individuals that have done an awful lot. And we had designated Michael Farallon to work with program and training in particular. And Michael, if you could sort of follow up with Francis, whether it's you or another member of
No, I will. I will, Bob, and I'm very glad to hear of the interest of Francis and Louise and others. We do spend a good amount of our efforts preparing for disasters, and we have accumulated disaster preparedness methodologies. We try and get all clubs, districts with all clubs to have plans and to go through that. And we do have experiences with Rotaract, who, as Louis quite clearly points out, are really vibrant, right? And we do have, I know we do have some material already, recordings in English and French, and it would be great to get some things in Spanish also and other languages and add to that material. So Bob will follow up. Myself and Phil will.
Let me suggest, Michael, and I know at least Frank Bradford was on the Zoom earlier, and he is the chair of the zones 30 and 31 advisory committee, and they've been working on the training that you and Phil presented, as well as training from partners. In other words, Larry Agee from Disaster Aid and April Menahir with, what is it, SBP? I think that those are the correct letters. But I think that's going to be an outstanding session. And I might suggest that if Frank's time allows him, if he could assist with your committee, and once we get that session completed, then provide it to DNA RAG and your committee, and you might review that along with other materials that you put together over the years. And Michael has been willing to do a couple of different languages. I mean, when he makes the presentation through the Caribbean, you're talking about numerous countries and several different languages.
Yeah, I'll be happy, Bob. I'll be happy to work with Michael and supply him everything that we do in Memphis, and whatever you need, Michael, just holler.
Sure.
And
great to get the input. We're trying to just really crowdsource to get everybody's input, right? And
so if you're on the Zoom and you have an interest in this type of thing, if we can get your notification that you'd like to participate and assist, or you'd like to receive and make a presentation in your own area.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important. And that we affiliate with groups that are already existing and list them on our website. Getting back into the technical organization, and I know we're running late on time here, but the board finally agreed that we would set ourselves up somewhat like the cadre has in 7 different geographic zones or areas, regions: North America, Central and South America, Europe, Middle East, North Africa, Sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, East Asia, and South Pacific. And we would seek out a coordinator for each region of those 7 regions. And we'll put this in a newsletter that will go on the website and go out to the membership. But we're looking for a zone, or not a zone, a regional coordinator to be the lead person. And we're seeking recommendations into the administration committee. That's me and my committee. Then we would present to the board who the appropriate coordinator is, at least in our thought process, and move forward on it. There would be about 3 to 4 people on that zone or regional cabinet, so to speak, to receive data as to disasters within that region, projects, and attempt to coordinate, and then fill the board in and the rest of DNA RAG. At the country level, within those regions, countries have to start developing teams, but most of the countries have already had experience with this, and they have their own system or organization, and we need to affiliate with those organizations, like in Australia and New Zealand and Taipei and in Nepal. They're already organized, but we need to link up and share our communication with one another. And we finally have that organization or that structure, and it's going to allow us to work with others and reach out. That's basically what the administration report was based on. And then establishing relationships with partners like disaster aid, and recognizing that, and putting a link on our website for those partners so that they can communicate with us and we can communicate with them and find out what their projects are and how to move forward. That's basically where we are. And it dovetails with the membership report when you're looking at it. But it gets down and says, okay, the board of DNA RAG can't do everything and cover every situation. So there has to be regional coordinators and cabinet. Then you have to go down to the team within a country. Every country is going to be different as to what they call it and how they're organized, and allow them to operate. And then get within the country, you've got to recognize that we're Rotary based, and you've got to include the districts and get into disaster at the district level and club level. The final thing that I would just say is, what it all comes down to is, if you join DNA RAG, in effect, you're the ambassador of DNA RAG into your club and your district. And if you're trying to help your fellow Rotarians in your community, I would suggest contemplating doing a training session for your club and stepping up to your disc in your district and saying, I represent DNA RAG. I'm prepared to pull people together and do a training session. And if you're uncomfortable in doing that, then get back to Mike and we can help you.
Bob, you got 3 people with hands up. Ken's first, Jimmy, and then Mike Stratford.
Thank you. I first wanted to say buenas noches to Francis. I'm your neighbor in Colombia, not too far away. I'm representing I'm the president of the Rotary Club of World Disability Advocacy. We have a committee working on developing disaster plans for countries with people with disabilities. Sadly, most countries don't have a good contribution to the disaster plan that includes people with disabilities. I'm wondering, is there a way that we could get a committee on this RAG that would be working on that project?
Can I answer that? I think that's a great idea, Ken. I think you and I have communicated in the past.
Yes.
There was, in fact, a Keshav, I think, in Sunil, managed to produce a document from Nepal about a disabled GoPack.
Right, he's in our group. He's in our group.
Yeah, about a disabled GoPack, which I believe they can circulate.
Sorry, I had to mute. I was going to, Jimmy mentioned that, and I know Michael and I have talked about the stuff that Keshav did was very, or actually Keshav didn't do it, but Keshav presented it to us, was extraordinarily Nepal centric, but there were some good points in there. And Michael and I were looking at it to see what we could glean, but Ken will be happy to circle back with you, because if you've got some stuff, I hate reinventing the wheel. I do bring regrets from Bob. His iPad died. He's going to try and dial in on his cell phone. He's in the midst of traveling right now.
I mean, it's something that needs attention. It needs Rotary's attention.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We have a group. We have a good
concur.
group we have a group that's working on it already. Liz is part of that group.
Yeah.
And if we could get somehow involved with the RAG and kind of collaborate.
Yeah, well, Liz has
together,
brought this to us too, Ken. She's our secretary. She sits on the board. And Mike, you're up.
No, I think it's wonderful. Liz sends her apologies. She had another conflict with Rotary this evening.
Yeah.
But Ken, it's different.
Michael Carolong, it was the other Mike who's up though.
Okay.
Stafford.
Yeah, he's a Michael, which I would be called when I was in trouble from my mother. It'd be Michael, James, Fred, you know your damn name, get inside here. first of all, I want to say that Jimmy from Scotland does not have an accent. We have an accent. Secondly, I would like to acknowledge that the DNA RAG channeled a bunch of funds for Grand Bahama and Abaco to the Bahamas Disaster Relief Committee, which was because of your 501c3. And then also I'd like to say that we had Hurricane Dorian hit us in the Bahamas here. I live on the northernmost island, Grand Bahama. Abaco's another one. And we had a 22-foot storm surge. I lost everything at my main house. Now live in the cottage because of it, which is on a hill. But we had a lot of NGOs come here that did a lot of training. And we're talking about people like USAID, UNICEF, SBP, which is from New Orleans. SBP is very experienced in floods, which we had. So they taught us how to actually, after you demuck and you remove the drywall, if you had a wooden stud, they taught us how to properly treat against mold. And there's only 2 chemicals that actually do that. A lot of people think bleach does that because it removes the black stuff, but the mold is actually still there. There's only 2 chemicals that do that. One of them is concrodium, which we ordered 3 5-gallon buckets of after the storm. So I just want to acknowledge that there's a lot of training outside of Rotary that we could utilize with the NGOs like USAID, UNICEF, SBP, the others. That's what they do. They do training for disasters. I know Rotary is a great training thing. I'm not trying to take anything away from Michael, who I know, but there's other opportunities for training. And I just want to thank the DNA RAG again for how they helped the Bahamas after the disaster, for channeling all the money that was donated through your tax deductible foundation.
Thank you, Mike. Bob has not logged back in. I have, he sent me the other day, yesterday, his agenda, and he had the committee reports, which he just finished administrative. He wanted to talk about 23, 24 directions. I think he did that. And next on his agenda was old business. I don't know that there is any old business from last year, if anybody remembers any. I sure don't. I'm looking for hands. I see no hands for old business.
I think he's covered a lot of it, Phil, when he was talking earlier.
Okay. And then new business, I had suggested to him yesterday when we were talking, I'm pretty sure, I'm not pretty sure. We registered for the convention, but we are not going. My grandson, one grandson is graduating from high school during the convention, and our district conference starts, I think, 2 days after the convention ends. So it really looks like a complete non-starter for us this year. But among our members, if we do have a booth, and there was a solicitation out yesterday from Zuhal Sharp, who is at RI, she is the main contact we have for RAGs. There was solicitation for booth signups for RAGs, and we need someone to take the lead on that, since I'm not going to be there, and we need warm bodies to man the booth. It's a lot of fun if there's a lot of people. It's no fun at all if there's only 1 or 2 people. And Gail is shaking her head yes, because she was one of the 1 or 2 people, especially in Houston. When you go to convention, you'd like to be able to at least walk around the House of Friendship. So we will be soliciting names for people who might be going to the convention, and if so, who would be willing to spend time in the booth. And if anybody wants to step up and say they'll help lead that, we'd love it. Love to hear about that. For the good of the organization, is there anybody that has anything else that they would like to chime in or add? I'm looking around the screen. Yeah, Luke. Unmute. There you go.
Yes, I'm muted. I just spent the last 2 weeks just back in Ukraine, from frontline to third level hospitals, etc., etc. In fact, as a tool or as a way to get the impression on what humanitarian assistance and disaster relief has to be about in a war-stricken zone. As of next week, I'm trying to funnel all my impressions and my photos linked to certain themes, frontline medicine, psychotrauma, etc., etc. If anybody in RAG is interested in that, I'm very much willing. It'll be somewhere in September to share my notes and my presentations about that.
Would you put that? Would you speak to clubs, Luke?
Yes, if they want to, certainly.
Okay. I know I've never heard of anybody that was looking for a program, except everybody, except everyone on this Zoom call. So you should be careful what you ask for because you might get it.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Can I ask that the recording gets emailed to those of us that have email addresses in your file, please?
Yes, yeah, and it will be posted up on the website.
Oh, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah, we do that as soon as this is done. It'll be converted, and I'll send it to Liz and to Jeff, who are our two people that take care of that kind of stuff. That is way outside of my pay grade. I don't do that.
And Craig was asking about posting our financials on the website, and I just happened to go over to charitynavigator.com, and I see that we have a thumbs up and a 4.0 rating, not a 5.0, which is the top, which Rotary has, but a 4.0.
Okay. All right. Well, that's probably Rusty's fault.
I have to try harder.
Anybody else? We're down to one screen, 25 people.
All right.
And we have to get up early tomorrow morning, and I get to see Rusty at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning for our Rotary meeting. Yeah. So.
And you are special.
Yes, I am. So if there's nothing else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Let's see a motion. Is there a second?
I second.
All right. Very good.
Can I just say it's 2:30 in the morning, and I'm getting up for the swim at 5. So,
Jimmy, it's great seeing you. Thank you for staying up.
Good night, Jimmy.
All right, well.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Goodbye.
Bye.
Take care of yourself.
Okay. Good night, sir.
Good night, Jim.